Imagine if nothing could rattle you, betrayal, rejection, or even heartbreak. Picture a mind so tranquil, so impervious, that no insult, no setback, no storm could penetrate its calm. This isn't a far-off dream, it's a practice. Marcus Aurelius, the last eminent Roman emperor, exemplified this way of being daily. Amid the pressure of leading armies and enduring enormous stress, he maintained a legendary serenity. His secret lay in a demanding yet beautiful philosophy, Stoicism. Not about emotional frigidity, Stoicism is about achieving an unwavering clarity. In a world where emotional reactions are prized, where outrage is a form of currency and people wear their suffering with pride, Marcus taught an opposite view. He recognized that emotions aren't factual. They are not your reality. They are transient impulses that, if unchecked, will rule over you. This discussion on the Deep Dive Psychology podcast isn't about stifling emotions. It's about becoming so grounded that your emotions can no longer be manipulated by others. We'll delve into constructing an emotional armor, not the kind that desensitizes, but one that secures peace without hardening the heart. Learn how Marcus trained his mind to remain composed amidst chaos, regarded pain as a form of training, and how you can use the same techniques to achieve emotional resilience in a world that often feeds off your sensitivities. If you're weary of being tossed about by passing remarks, mood fluctuations, or crippling self-doubt, keep listening. What follows could entirely transform your mindset and possibly set you on a path to liberation. Let's begin and debunk this myth. No one is born emotionally fragile. You weren't brought into this world plagued by self-doubt, excessive pondering, or easily overwhelmed by pressure. You've been systematically conditioned into these responses, slowly, through repetition, and subconsciously. From a young age, you were taught that every emotion needs immediate expression. Pain demands outcry, anger calls for venting, and anxiety seeks escape. Rarely were you encouraged to pause, reflect, and question, why am I experiencing this? Or does this truly matter in the grand scheme of things? You were led to believe that emotions equate to truth, but Marcus Aurelius, a man of immense historical influence, understood a critical truth. He famously wrote, "You're not compelled to turn this into something. It doesn't have to disturb you." This encapsulates the core of Stoic philosophy. You're not destined to suffer simply because something occurred. You aren't a prisoner of your emotions unless you allow yourself to be. Let's clarify. Emotions aren't adversaries. They are indicators. But when those signals commandeer your actions, mindset, and identity, you become a puppet swayed by every whim the world throws your way. Reflect on how frequently we surrender control. A single comment can ruin a day. A mere look can make you question your value. An unforeseen incident, a harsh word, or a delay can instigate an inescapable downward spiral. Marcus Aurelius believed such emotional turmoil isn't innate to life, but arises from a lack of training. You were never instructed on how to defend your mind. No manual was given for emotional discipline. Hence, rather than mastering your thoughts, you have been mastered by them. However, the silver lining is this. What is learned can be unlearned. Emotional fragility isn't inherent. It is simply conditioned. And if it was instilled in you, it can equally be reprogrammed. This was Marcus's practice, mastered by the Stoics. They honed their minds as soldiers would train their bodies, through repetition, clarity, and steadfast intent. To the average person, emotions occur spontaneously. But Marcus opposed this notion, arguing that you can step back and examine your emotional state akin to a scientist, thus dismantling its influence. This isn't about suppression, it's about sovereignty and strength. The next time you're provoked, ask yourself, is this something I need to bear, or is this just an ingrained reaction I've never scrutinized? Because emotional invulnerability begins there, not by avoiding feelings, but by understanding you have a choice regarding how to act upon them. If you can choose your response, you can reclaim your power. But how? How can you break patterns of overreaction and seize control of your internal world? Marcus had an answer. Begin by mastering the most perilous aspect of your life, your internal monologue. Marcus Aurelius understood our true adversary isn't the outside world, but our inner dialogue. That relentless narrative that questions our worth, predicts catastrophe, and holds on to every slight like a forecast. Most people remain unaware of how ruthless their inner voice has become. If another person spoke to you as you speak to yourself, you would cut them off without hesitation. Yet, because it's internal, it goes unchecked, absorbed, and believed. Marcus took a different path. He disciplined himself to scrutinize every thought, not as truth, but as data. In his personal writings, he engaged in this daily practice of self-reflection. Not for an audience, not for accolades, but to confront the conflict within. He would dissect anger, deconstruct fear, and temper pride with the reminder of life's unpredictability. This is a mental discipline many never cultivate. Without it, they're subject to every fleeting emotion, opinion, and perceived threat. Emotions rob them of peace without them realizing they haven't locked the door. Marcus's approach was simple yet poignant. Question your reactions before they morph into your reality. Inquire. Is this thought beneficial? Is this emotion genuine or simply familiar? Without this feeling, what would I be? Here's the ultimate truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. Most live reactively. Anger feels like a need to yell. Anxiety appears as a sign of impending disaster. Marcus taught that the moment you become a witness to your thoughts instead of their captive, you reclaim control. Once you see feelings as suggestions rather than directives, you can transform reaction into thoughtful response. Consider the scenario. A critical online comment is read. Many would react in anger, composing a retort and entering an argument that sours their day. But alternatively, what if you pause to recognize the comment as more reflective of the commenter than of you? Instantly, you shift from being emotionally captive to becoming the architect of your response. This is the practice Marcus engaged in daily, not to shut out the world, but to sustain internal peace. This fortified mind did not diminish his warmth. It empowered him, freeing him from reliance on the world behaving in any certain way for his personal equilibrium. The understanding deepens. True emotional invulnerability arises not only by managing thoughts, but by detaching identity from transient emotions. Many suffer because they conflate emotions with who they are. They don't just face rejection, it becomes their identity. They aren't merely sad, they personify sadness. Instead of acknowledging they're having an anxious thought, they claim, "I am anxious." Marcus would point out that this blending of emotion and self is the foundation of fragility. He emphasized that you are not your emotions. Emotions fluctuate like weather, brief, irrational, and capricious. Anchoring your identity to such volatility ensures instability. Marcus once noted, if you're troubled by external things, the distress stems not from the thing itself, but from your perception. You can revoke this perception. Thus, it's not the betrayal that ruins you. It's the narrative you craft about its meaning. It's not the failure, but the belief that it defines you. Here, ego asserts itself, wanting to centralize everything, even your suffering, by insisting, "They disrespected me." You say, "I'm worthless without them." Or, "If I don't succeed by a set standard, I'm a failure." Marcus constantly challenged the ego, posing a haunting question. Is this adjustable by my action? If not, he released it. If yes, he took action, never entwining his essence with his emotions. Hence, emotional resilience isn't negating pain, but refusing to root your identity in it. You can feel destroyed without being defeated, angry without destructiveness, insecure without labeling yourself as weak. Here's an essential truth. Your emotions are temporary guests, not lifelong residents. They knock, you decide whether to open the door, you choose their duration. Moreover, you decide whether they redecorate and settle in. For instance, you've lost your job. Initial emotions of panic or embarrassment arise. However, these are merely initial responses and not indicative of your ultimate identity, allowing you the capacity to choose a constructive response. Amid the tumult, pause for reflection. Consider this present-day illustration, losing your job. The surge of emotions, panic, embarrassment, self-doubt, are mere shadows cast by reality, not reality itself. Before you lie two divergent paths. Define your being by this moment and spiral out of control, or step back, survey the vastness, and wonder what lies beyond. A Stoic does not suppress feelings. Instead, he acknowledges them and observes them from a distance, much like clouds drifting across the expanse of the sky. He recognizes that he is the sky itself, untouched by the tempests that cross it. When next you find yourself swamped by emotion, ponder, is this moment who I am, or merely something moving through me? Inextricable resilience is born from discerning this distinction. How does one transform this awareness into fortitude? Marcus Aurelius offered the key, teaching that pain, often dreaded, should be revered and not feared. Viewed as a mentor, a forge, a molder of character, pain in the Stoic lens isn't an adversary to dodge, but an adversary to engage. Modernity instructs us to sidestep discomfort, to disarm hurt with distractions and complaints. Yet Marcus turned the norms upside down, perceiving pain as an integral force molding what he termed the inner citadel, a resilient core shaped by confronting challenges head-on. As he governed the Roman Empire, facing wars, betrayals, personal loss, illness, and political upheaval, Marcus never dwelled in despair in his writings. Each hardship served as mental resistance training, propelling him forward. The obstacle in the path becomes the path, he penned. Pain did not hinder growth, it was growth itself. Reflect upon your deepest sorrows, your gravest failures, the times life dealt harsh blows. We grieve because we see them as misfortunes befalling us. Marcus prompts us to reframe them, it happened for us, not to us, as opportunities to gain wisdom and resilience. This is the essence of the Stoic ethos, transform adversity into growth. An insult becomes a lesson in detachment, rejection builds resilience, betrayal hones discernment. Each painful encounter becomes a form of armor, not by ignoring wounds, but by using them to fortify the spirit beneath. The Stoic strikes a balance analogous to a seasoned boxer. Each strike endured reinforcing their fortitude rather than weakening it. In a world where many falter under pressure, imagine the power of transforming pain into clarity rather than numbness, not just weathering the fire, but becoming refined through it. However, the crucial element here is that such emotional resilience is far from a spontaneous reaction. It is cultivated through diligent practice. And when life's inevitable storms arrive, it's this training that ensures one stands firm. Even with mastery over thoughts and a detachment of ego, the world will unleash its chaos regardless. When faced with life's trials, will you succumb, or will you choose your response with purpose and precision, like a warrior selecting his weapon? Marcus Aurelius addressed a truth many overlook. The true contest lies not with the external world, but within one's reflexes. The divergence between one who is emotionally fragile and one of emotional fortitude can be distilled into a single skill: the capacity to pause, to seize the space between stimulus and response, to choose thoughtfully rather than be swept away by uninvited turmoil. Marcus's writings speak to this. You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This encapsulates the Stoic's innate power, not an absence of emotion, but mastery of one's reaction to it. Let's face it, most people exist on autopilot, reacting rather than responding. A slight provokes instant ire, anxiety leads to unraveling, judgment induces convoluted defenses, and the cycle of regret ensues. Marcus perceived such patterns as a form of enslavement, not physical bondage, but subjugation to external expectations and actions. The Stoic, however, takes deliberate action. He pauses, observes, questions, and then chooses. He is not driven by reaction, but walks in control. Envision yourself in a challenging scenario, passive aggression at work, maybe provoking past reactions of snapping or withdrawal. Now you smile, witnessing their struggles, allowing you to walk away, poised and unaffected. This isn't a surrender, it's self-mastery. Often misunderstood, real emotional strength is not about controlling anyone else, but being so rooted that external turmoil fails to sway you. This realization is why Marcus trained his mind tirelessly, writing to himself night after night, not to seek perfection, but to stand ready. When chaos erupted, he was prepared, not by knowing what was to come, but by understanding his response to it. Attaining emotional invincibility doesn't lie in crafting the perfect retort, but in the silence cultivated by selectively engaging in battles, acknowledging that safeguarding your peace surpasses proving a point. Yet there lies a potential downfall. Even after mastering the pause, controlling responses, the pitfall remains of being ensnared by outcomes. Marcus offered wisdom for this dilemma, grasping the limitations of control. Despite strategy or intelligence, surprises lurk, disappointments follow, plans derail. Letting peace hinge on outcomes dooms one to perpetual bondage. Marcus Aurelius comprehended this through lived experience within the whirlwind of betrayal, warfare, loss, and political maneuvering. In Meditations, he advised embracing the present for true strength and clarity. Obsession with future outcomes fosters overthinking, fear, and detachment from oneself. We agonize over imagined adversities, yet Marcus implores us to remain in the present, this moment, this task, this breath. Look at how often one suffers for things that have not come to pass. What if they leave? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? But these are illusions created by an overactive mind. Instead, pulling attention back to the present, immersed focus, offers clarity. In the now, action is possible. That's why journaling held importance for Marcus, a nightly ritual to recalibrate with understanding of what mattered. To face the world each day with clarity and resolve. Emotional invincibility is about maintaining presence amidst storms, standing unshaken as the world trembles. In a society obsessed with outcomes, achieving this clarity amidst widespread chaos is vital. Ultimately, emotional resilience isn't about eradicating feeling, but disentangling from its control. It's not about being cold or robotic, but grounded so deeply in the present that external chaos ceases to hold sway. Marcus Aurelius endured a life amidst turbulence with serene grace, illustrating that power is self-mastery, not dominion over externalities. Disappointments, failures, rejections, and pain will exist, but the real strength lies in not relinquishing power to them. Do not relinquish control over your inner tranquility. Each emotion that once stirred reactions is now an opportunity for reflection. Every instance of betrayal acts as a mirror, highlighting your lingering attachments. Discomfort becomes a form of training, another exercise in crafting the most resilient version of yourself. This embodies the Stoic philosophy, a path trodden by Marcus Aurelius, and is accessible to you at this very moment. So, when life challenges you, ponder this. Are you reacting automatically or responding with mastery? If this reflection stirred something within you, if it prompted a moment of stillness and contemplation, comment below, "I command my thoughts." Let this be your declaration, not of flawlessness, but of empowerment. And the journey doesn't end here. In the next episode of the Deep Dive Psychology Podcast, we will explore further the ancient blueprint for personal transformation from within, a realm where silence manifests as strength, not frailty. Until then, remain focused, stay anchored, and recall, you are not your emotions. You are the master of how you harness them.